Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's class. And today I want to share with you three things that people with very high emotional intelligence do, especially when they're communicating or when they're talking. You see, one of the things that every leader needs to take note of is what I call strategic listening. So oftentimes we listen to reply, to respond. But as leaders, we ought to listen to understand, right? So that we can creatively think of solutions, we can creatively think of what next to say. And we often get ourselves in trouble, in different problems, predicaments. And as leaders, I want to share with you three things that will help you communicate better when you take note of them. And the first one is speak soothingly. And remember, these are the things that I've always been using even in my leadership. So number one is speak soothingly. There's a technique that I always use here. It is called the late night FM DJ voice, right? So there's a certain voice you've got to put or you've got to use when you're actually speaking in order to dissolve a conflict, a problem, a tough situation. So the late night FM DJ voice is always deep and smooth. It is very soothing. It is this voice is very calm. I would use the word calm. It is downward inflating, right? It is not very hyped. It is not very loudy and shouty. It is very mellow. And this tone of voice really triggers a certain neurochemical in our bodies that calms the other person down. So whenever you find yourself in a chaotic environment, use this what I call the late night FM DJ voice. So you have to speak soothingly. And even the Bible says King Solomon, the wisest man ever lived, he once said, a calm answer turns away wrath. Right? So there's a way that you can actually dissolve a situation when you speak very soothingly. So this voice also creates an involuntary response of clear-headedness in both parties. So I encourage you to use this voice whenever you find yourself facing some tough challenges, some chaos, or you need to resolve a certain leadership-related issue. So number one, speak soothingly, smoothly, speak softly, soothingly. And number two is a technique I call mirroring, all right? You have to mirror statements. So mirroring basically is an art of repeating statements as a question. So it helps in building goodwill and gathering information. So you've come to a situation, a scenario, and you want to find out what's happening here. So the more questions you ask and the more conversations you have, they help you to get more information. So you have to mirror what the other person is saying. So you mirror someone by repeating several key words that they are actually using in their communication. For example, someone might say, maybe in the office, I have a really bad day because of all the stress that I'm under. And mirroring would be something like, all the stress that you're under. So you are basically repeating these key words to just sort of emphasize, number one, to emphasize the point, but number two, to show the other person that, hey, we are together. Remember in the beginning I said, don't listen to reply, listen to understand what the other person is really going. So that's strategic listening as a leader. So number one, speak soothingly. And number two, you use a technique that's called mirroring statements. And number three, you have to label the other person's emotions. So labeling is used to verbally identify your the person that you're communicating with. It helps you to identify their emotions. So you're basically labeling their emotions, and often at times a good label will respond with one of the following examples. So remember the early example I said, someone is having a bad day. So labeling will be, so it seems like you are unhappy with the decision you have made in this company. And labeling will be something like, it's clear that you are regretting now. All right, so there's a situation, something is happening, and you are trying to understand the other person, and so you are labeling, you're putting an emotion to what they're going through. All right, I understand that you're very sad right now, and this really helps even in customer service, right? A lot of customer service personnel, they use this technique of labeling. So someone comes and shouts at you, hey, you know what, I paid my money and I have not received my package, what's happening? And so you label that hey, I understand that you're frustrated right now because of our failure to deliver your service on time, and so you now come to give a solution. So these are the three techniques that I use. Number one, you have to speak soothingly, and number two, you have to mirror statements, and number three, you must label the other person's emotions. This will help you to strategic listen to that person, and you will develop such a high level of emotional intelligence, so much so that you will be able to calm the situation down. You will be able to face, whether it is a customer, a client, your boss, a colleague, whatever chaos that's there. If you use these three statements or three techniques, they will really help you to maneuver through that. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, remember, soothe, mirror, label. Cheers.